there's an examination process. What am I doing that is a social standard I think I need to meet that even I don't enjoy doing? Right? Like, does my house need to be this clean? Do we need to go to all these birthday parties? Is it actually important if my kids' socks match? There's a lot of energy we expend doing things because everybody does them, and you can really cut a lot of fat just by thinking, especially when you can approach it from this is a season. I'm not saying no forever, but right now it's okay if I focus on taking care of myself, finding beauty, and don't focus on making sure the upholstery is vacuumed or, whatever your social standards are that you are adhering to because you feel like you have to. It's a real like time clock space, but it's also letting go of standards and creating mental space so that
Yeah.
you have that ability to take in beauty and have some clarity just in your day.
I remember when I first brought my kids home, they were like 2 and 3 years old, and I was just dating my husband before he was my husband, obviously. I had white carpet, no animals, white carpet. And I had these two kids that were just like, woo, hanging from the chandeliers. And every night after I got them to bed and after I got the dishes clean and after I did all the things, then I would get out the vacuum cleaner and I would vacuum that white carpet because, obviously it wasn't white anymore. So I had to keep vacuuming up, vacuuming up. And so I'd do that every night and I would just fall into bed dead tired from vacuuming. And so when I met my husband, he's like, why do you do that? And I'm like, well, because I've got to keep some order. I've got to keep it all together. And what if somebody comes over and they see my house like turned upside down or whatever? He goes, I'm here. It looked all right to me. And I'm like, yeah, maybe for a minute, but you haven't seen it after 2 days of this or whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay. So let me tell you what he did. Like within a few months of dating, he brings me a big Labrador puppy with paws the size of, I don't know, a grapefruit. So it's going to grow up into this big old dog. And I'm like, I don't want a dog. I don't need a puppy. I just have two little kids. They're like puppies already. What are you doing? He's like, yeah, I think you need a puppy. And I'm just like, I don't think I like you at all. I don't know why I'm dating you. You're nuts. So, but he gives me the puppy. And the puppy makes it 100% impossible for me to clean up all the time because that puppy is shredding everything, runs out into the yard, comes back in with muddy paws on my white carpet. I mean, I was losing my mind trying to keep up with that. And then, really, after about 2 weeks, I'm like, I have to let it go. I just have to let it go. I can't make this white carpet stay white all the time. And so I'm like, okay, I'll vacuum once a week. Oh my gosh. After a week, that was like, nightmare. Actually, by the time this all, unfolded, I was vacuuming about once a month. Like, I can vacuum about once a
Exactly.
month. That's what I can do. And I felt so much better. There was so much more room in my life to just have like a little window after the kids went to bed to read a book or have a nice, cup of tea and maybe watch TV or something boring, just anything to, you know, gain some capacity back.
That's exactly right. We learn the same thing. We could vacuum every few weeks or month. The bed sheets don't need to get changed every single week. Maybe the kid depends on what the kid's skill set is with potty training, but like that's an as needed situation. We don't need to just do things because society told us to. So I'm glad you agree. And sometimes it's scary to talk about those things with parents who don't live the way we live, because they haven't really had to look at it the way that we have. But you only have so much energy, you have the amount of energy that you have, and the time that you're going to rebuild and give your nervous system to recover. If you're using that time to make other people more comfortable, when are you going to grow? Right? Exactly. So now what are we doing in that time? See, we've found some time.
Mm-hmm.
We've stopped vacuuming every day. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we are gonna, what
Well,
are
we're
we
going
gonna
to take a
do?
look at our thinking. We're going to take a look at our thinking, I think. I mean, we're going to practice neurohacks to regulate better. Those are physiological things that you can do, but there are ways where you can start with your mind. Our minds cause us to feel things that we don't really need to be feeling, like anger and hatred and disgust and like impulses to like, I'd like to just strangle them. I'm just saying that whispered so nobody believes that I really mean that, but sometimes it got pretty close, pretty edgy because my mind was telling me that my kids were doing this to me, that they were bad, they were difficult, they were making my life miserable, they were ruining my life. And the more my mind said these things to me, the more and more dysregulated I became, the less capacity I had. right? Because now, no matter what they did, I'm like, you're doing this to me. And that's pissing me off, or that's really upsetting me, or you're destroying my life, my beautiful life. I used to say that in my mind. You children are destroying my beautiful life. And that just brought up all this emotion and upset. And my capacity for them decreased so much.
I was just thinking while you were saying that about how when I finally made that time to just notice the way I was thinking, eventually, not right away, I almost got to the place then of like, I need to flip the script. I need to, instead of them triggering something in me and me immediately reacting and saying, you're ruining my perfect, beautiful life, which I also felt that way. Once I had enough space to think about the way I was thinking, instead of just being in a constant state of response and reaction, then I could say, I need to flip the script. I need to see every moment that they cause me this like incredible discomfort as an opportunity to look and see what is the story I'm telling myself here? What is the root? Because it cannot be that a 3 and a 4 year old are these evil monsters, right? It can't be, they're not
Right.
calculated. They're
Mm-mm.
not premeditated. They're just reacting in the moment because of how they feel, which
Mm-hmm.
they should be able to do without me making it about me. So
Right.
that's what the space gave me. And right, like you're saying, we're changing the way we're thinking. We don't have to respond the way we do. It's conditioning, it's habitual, it's society, it's narratives we learn in society about if we're hurt, that's someone's fault. Right? This is just a whole nother way of seeing discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the things that I had to learn how to do was realize that my kids are doing this around me. They're not doing it to me, right? So I was seeing it as they're doing things to me because when a child spits in your face, for example, it feels like they're doing it to you because the spit, of course, lands on your face. But they're not, that's not really what's going on. I had to learn how to look at it and go, oh, they're really upset around me. And sometimes that results in spitting in my face. And I don't like that. It's disgusting. I don't like it. And my disgust is just the feeling of having spit on my face. And it's not that my kids are disgusting. I had to just learn how to parse that apart a little bit and realize that what they're doing is they're communicating their upset to me. And I had to learn how to see all behavior as it's a communication of something that they're not skilled enough to say in a better way or do in a better way. And that helped me a lot, right? It's like, oh, this is just lack of skills. If I'm really, really angry with somebody, I don't really have to spit in their face. I can just say, I'm really upset with you. And I can communicate it very well. I'm skilled in that, right? I don't have to spit at them. But my kids don't have that skill. So when they're really angry at me for not getting what they want or whatever, all they've got is fight. And spitting in somebody's face is fight, right?
Yeah, that reminds me, this is slightly off of creating capacity, but that reminds me when parents say to me, like their kid is just cursing them out, just F bombs and all kinds of B words
Mm,
and whatever they can think of. That is just the language they've found that's as intense as what they're feeling. And it's a
hmm
tool they're using. It isn't personal. They don't really think those things about you. What they think is, I am so deeply uncomfortable inside and I need to get it out and I need you to know how uncomfortable I am. And these are the most powerful words that I've found. And sometimes that helps people if they're able to really accept it. And the way I think this ties back to creating capacity or expanding our bandwidth is that once you realize that you can respond differently to these really uncomfortable or painful moments that are created by interactions with your kids, then you don't have to get caught up in these waves of reaction and these stories you tell yourself that go on and on and on about the future and who they're going to be and how hard, you don't have to go there. What you can do is just sit in the moment and you can feel the feeling, which you'll be amazed passes pretty darn quick if you just sit with it, right? And that's the
hmm
beginning of creating that space. That's a beginning of creating those skills in yourself and then move on, right? So
Right.
much less of your day is consumed by narratives and stories. And this all sounds like, yeah, that's fine and good, woo woo. And I resisted it a lot because I had no practice at being truly just sitting still and being uncomfortable. When you build that skill, which anyone has access to, literally anyone can just choose to sit with their feelings. You don't have to be any special kind of person. We all have access to it. It's a
Yeah,
game changer. That's where the growth comes. That's where the space comes in.
totally. And I know this from neuroscience, from studying neuroscience, that it's the wave that you're talking about that's sitting with your feelings. It's literally only 90 seconds. That's a minute and a half. You might have to feel that upset. If you just sit down and you close your mouth, right? Stop, drop your agenda for a second, breathe, don't speak. Don't speak all the things that you want to speak. In 90 seconds, that feeling, that wave will dissipate, right? It'll go away. And then you'll be back into a more stable, calm, less reactive place. So it's actually kind of
Yeah.
simple, but we all avoid that minute and a half so much for some reason until we actually do it and we start realizing, oh, that's kind of easy. Hey, that was easy. It's like hitting that easy button, the big red easy button.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
And the
easy.
first few minutes are the hardest. Yeah. It's easy. Eventually. The first few minutes are hardest because you literally feel like because if you've not done it and you don't have practice, you feel like it's never going to end. So it's very scary in the beginning. And so I just want to make it clear, like the way you're responding now, if you're getting caught up, that's normal. That's a
Yeah,
human way to respond to those moments. And we're, like I said, like we're nervous system athletes. We're like Olympic level parents. We're training ourselves to be like top tier. And so just have confidence that you're gonna be able to write it. There is an other side and it's actually not that far.